Well, hello, boys, girls. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. I don't know at what time you are playing this video, or even in which time zone you live in. Anyway, welcome to my video for King's Quest 4, The Perils of Rosella. Well, when you start a game up, you get this screen. That is what we call a doc check copy protection. Like you see on the screen, you have to check your manual and enter the word that is asked for. I know that it is lift. Now, before I continue, a few notes to make. King's Quest 4 was the first Shera game that I have ever set eyes on. It would only be years, many years later, before I would actually complete it for the first time. Next. This game was the first in a few things. The first thing it was the first in was that it was the very first game of Shera's written in their Shera's Creative Interpreter, SCI. Before that, they used the AGI interpreter. Just a moment. For that, they actually created two versions in this game, one in SCI and one in AGI. The latter was in the end not published, although it is included in some collected works. Why did they actually create a second version of this game in AGI? And I must have it somewhere, and if I find it, I will also shoot it in video. But the why question is, it sounds ridiculous in these days, but hardware at the time was very limited. Computers were in that time even deemed a luxury product. Very hard to imagine these days. So Shera was really afraid, since you will immediately see that this game has much more higher resolution in graphics than all of its predecessors had, which is still a laugh to today's standards, but hey, you have to take it in time. It also supported object-oriented programming and much more features that were very much more demanding on CPU, memory, and all that crap. It was also the number of floppies or diskettes that you needed to play the game. Yeah, those were the days, my friends. We thought they'd never end. But anyway, that back in the time was very, very limited, and they were afraid that if they didn't also create the game in AGI, that King's Quest 4 could flop under the high hardware requirements. Well, in the end, that was not that much an issue as Shera feared, which was why they ultimately never published the AGI version. And another thing in which King's Quest 4 appears to be the first, and I'm trying to be looking to debunk things, as there were multiple things in which people claim to be the first, but that there were actually things before it. But as far as I could verify, it seems to be correct. Just a sip of my tea. King's Quest 4 is, as far as I could find out, and it is also written down in every documentation I could find, the very first graphic adventure game featuring a female playable character. And of course, this sounds crazy as there are many more graphic adventure games now that feature a female playable character. To name a few, from Shara itself, the Colonel's Bequest, with Laura Bow in the main role, as well as in its successor, the Dagon of Aemon Ray. Phantasmagoria, both, by the way, created by Roberta Williams, who is also the big woman behind the King's Quest series. But also when we take a look in other graphic adventures, the second Carendia game, The Hand of Fate, featured Xanthia as a female character. So today it is just as usual to have a female character in the lead as a male one, but back in the day that was pretty much elsewhere, and the very reason why Shara was actually a bit fearful in having a female character in the lead. It may sound pretty sexist, but most of the gamers back in the time were boys. And what we often seek in adventure games is a character in which you can recognize yourself. And Shara was very fearful that boys wouldn't be able to recognize themselves in a female hero of the game. However, even though they were a minority back then, there were female gamers. Heck, Roberta Williams herself, the creator of this game, happens to be a woman. And that was also why she was willing to put in a female lead, hoping that this would also make gaming more attractive to girls. But since girls were a minority, Shara had a bit of a financial risk there, as they did fear that the male gamers would not accept the heroine of this game, which happens to be Princess Rosella, as a character they could identify themselves with. Well, it turned out that the boys took on Rosella pretty well. And as a matter of fact, some games having a female lead are only more popular among the male players just because they had a woman in the lead. The Tomb Raider series with Lara Croft as the main character might be one of the most striking examples of that. So in the end, I guess things only worked out well in the end. Yeah, like I said, it sounds pretty sexist, but it was all about money back then. And if the game flopped over this, then Shara could have been in serious trouble. So it was a risk. But back in the day, they were willing to take such risks. Yes, that is a bit of a harsh comment, I know, but today's industry is completely beeped up. Well, I think I have blabbed enough already. Another sip of my tea, and let's get the game started! Well, let's pretend that I'm playing this game for the first time, as otherwise it would skip the introduction. With the return of his long-lost son Alexander, and that was where King's Quest 3 ended, the rescue of the daughter Rosella from the terrible dragon, the old Graham, decided it was time to pass on his adventurous hat to the younger blood. That was where King's Quest 3 ended. He flings the battered hat toward his children while his wife, Queen Velenis, proudly looks on. And precisely at this moment King's Quest 3 would end. And here we continue now. He hands arches into the air. Suddenly, King Graham experiences a terrible squeezing pain in his chest. Help me, he rasps. The adventurous hat lies unclaimed upon the floor, forgotten. King Graham lies wickedly in bed, Father Death hovering near. Grief suddenly overwhelming her, Rosella leaves the room. Oh, Father, she sobs, you're still young. You should have many years ahead of you. Oh, I wish I could help you, Father. Do you really mean that? A soft voice asks. Rosella looks up, but sees no one. Who's speaking to me? I am, the mirror says. Look in the magic mirror. Yes, that mirror has always been playing an important part in the entire King's Quest series. It was one of the treasures you needed in King's Quest 1. Rosella sees an image in the mirror. Who are you? She queries. I am the fairy Ginesta. In my land of Tamir, there's a remarkable tree. It's tiny tree needs hundreds of years, but it's no ordinary fruit. For if the people who were to eat it, they would find that good health and well-being would be theirs for many years. Rosella is much downhearted by this news. Where is the land of Tamir? Ginesta smiles. Tamir is very far away, but with my magic I can bring you here. Rosella senses that there is more to the story, but I suppose there are some problems? Again, Ginesta smiles. Yes, you are correct, Rosella. If you are willing to come to Tamir, I will explain the situation. However, once I bring you here, I can't send you back. You will have to help me first. Confused, Rosella said, I don't know. What if I can't help you or find the tree? Ginesta pleads, you must decide now, Rosella. My powers are growing weaker by the minute. Now the fairy is but faint glimmer, and her voice barely audible. If you care for your father, say yes now. And suddenly, she's gone. Yes! The lovely fairy speaks. I am the fairy Ginesta. Welcome to Tamir. Rosella looks awestruck at the fairy. She is stunningly beautiful, but there is a certain sadness in her. Finally, Rosetta speaks. I know you would like me to help you in some way, but I don't know how I could help a fairy. Ginesta looks sadder than ever. You're wrong, Rosella. You see, I am losing my magical powers. Yesterday I was strolling through the woods. Loloth. Oh, that's too fast. She yanked it from my neck and raced away with screaming with laughter. Immediately I felt my powers diminishing and my body weakening. I will die in 24 hours if my talisman is not returned. Intently, Ginesta looks at Rosella. Lolot is very evil and will use the talisman to bring more evil to Tamir. Now I fear it will contaminate my whole country. Further, I cannot send you home without my talisman. Rosella is unsure what she can do. Meekly she asks, I want to help you, but how? You can do more than you think, Rosella, Ginesta assures her. I believe you will be able to penetrate Lolot's domain. Suddenly Rosella remembers the tiny tree. Can you tell me where to find the magic fruit? It will not be easy to reach the tree. It grows on a tiny island in a vast swamp on the other side of the Great Mountains. I will help you in any way I can, Ginesta. How can I find Lolotti? Lolotti Castle overlooks Tamia from the Great Mountains. There is not much I can do, Rosella. As it is, it will be difficult for me to fly again. One thing I must do for you, though. I shall disguise you as a peasant girl, so as not to attract any attention. Thank you, Ginesta, I think, Rosella stammers. It will be better for you, the fairy says. Now I must be off while I can still fly. I know you can do it. Goodbye. Good luck. Well, up until now all the texts were times, but that will change after this, as the game will then begin. You're on your own, Rosella. And this is where the game begins, and let's first make a little save game. As you know, this is one of the games of Shara, which is pretty infamous for having many ways in which you can die, not to mention also dead end points that make that you can no longer finish the game at all, which is in today's graphic adventures completely unthinkable. But in the 1980s, that was pretty much of the standard. And that would only change with the release of Loom and the Secret of Monkey Island. Well, let's see. Let me first give you a small nice things to know about King's Quest in general. Most King's Quests up to King's Quest V had a pretty open world in which you could travel very freely. However, if you go too far to the south, you will end up at the north and vice versa. That has also been a kind of way that you saw in many King's Quest games at the time. King's Quest 1 that would also work for East and West. Now basically the game has 3 tasks for me to perform. Not here. Yes, you must type everything in comments. It's not point and click adventure. That would still be later. Okay. Of course, Shara games have always been pretty notorious for mountain passes. Well, fortunately, there's only one in this game. This happens to be it. And one misstep and you will die. Whenever you die, you see Roberta Williams' face with closing notes. The only other game of Shara's in which I saw this kind of thing, oh yeah, nice unicorn, but I have no use for it right now. Anyway, the only other Shara game that I saw that kind of thing was Police Quest 2, where you would see the face of Jim Walls when you die. At Police Quest, they also had a kind of new tradition installed to make the death message have a kind of remark about the way how you died. And in Police Quest 2, it would be with Jim shakes his head and says, well, here is just Roberta Williams' face. And after that, they begin with placing in the pictures of your actual demise. Well, let's hope I do better this time, but anyway, now I have at least saved the game. Of course, hugging the mountain wall can be a good idea. I don't have to climb this pass yet, I only have to walk it once in the game, and that would be around the end. Well, here the text is timed. Well, my pets, what have you brought home today? Are you a foolish girl who wandered here by mistake? Or are you a spy sent by my enemy, Giesta? You swear to Lolot that you are nothing but a poor peasant girl who has lost her way, but she doesn't seem to believe you as her mouth begins to snarl and her eyes narrow to mere slits. For the first time you experience real fear and begin to tremble. You don't look stupid enough to have wandered here. I believe you are a spy. Take her to the cell. Well, basically, you could see the pendant that Lolotti was wearing. That is the talisman that you will need to give to Ginesta, and that would actually be the last action of the game. So it will be a while before I can claim it. The whip is securely attached to the wall. Besides, you don't want it. You don't know how to use this machine, and you don't ever want to know. Basically, there's nothing you can do here but to wait until the goons come to lead me back to Lolothi. She will decide my fate. Well, she will give me the 3 tasks that you have to perform in this game. And there's not much choice but to obey at the current time. Lolotti gives you a cheeky sweet look. You're lucky, my dear. My precious son Edgar is taking a liking to you, and he believes you. He convinced me to give you a chance to prove your innocence. And glanced homely at the young man standing to Lolotte. He blushes. I wish to own the unicorn that inhabits the meadowland. Bring me the unicorn, and I shall not only set you free, but reward you as well. Take her back to the forest. Well, like I said, this is now let's make a temp save. You will really need those. Well, as always, there are many references to stories, to fairy tales, most likely, and this is, of course, a reference to the fairy tale of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, in which Rosella now takes the role as Snow White, cleaning up the house for 7 dwarfs. And yes, they really took some time to work this part out. Well, and of course you will join the 7 dwarfs when they have their soup. Now what I just did now is just optional, but hey, let's be a nice girl, shall we? Yeah, this is also the very first Terra game that makes a jingle every time you score points. Dee, 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 dee. Which is of course pretty nice, as you then know that you actually did something well. Well, and this is the mine of these little fellows. At least you don't die this way, but it is kind of annoying. Well, I guess that was the quick way down. Well, this is the main guy. Give pouch, yeah, well, they forgot their pouch full of diamonds, so let's return it to them. Yeah, being an honest person, you often the forgotten pouch of diamonds to the dwarf. His gruff exterior softens a bit. Ah, you can keep it. We got plenty here. We also got an extra lantern we ain't using. Here, go ahead and take it. Now skedaddle out of here. Now this lantern is not required to fulfill my task to get the unicorn. But if I don't get it before moving on in the game, I will be completely screwed. And I will need it to get the fruit required to save Rosella's old man. Well, this is a bit of luck. I don't have luck now. If I have some luck, then Cupid would appear. Yes. And leave his bow at the thing. That was not very... Leave his bow at the side. And now he is gone. But as Rosella, yes, accidentally left the scene due to my stupidity, the bow was gone. I really need that thing. But I'm not there yet. Now you may already have seen it, and I will... perhaps I can better do this with a bit of a long way around. This is the ogre's house. If you linger there too long or randomly, then you may find an ogre. I'll take you for food. Well, that unicorn comes later. I have first some other things to do. Yeah, I cannot do anything with this minstrel yet, so that's... Now, I will save here, as this easily goes wrong. Although it is not really like I would die this way, but it's... I basically just have to wait for the fishermen to stop fishing and to go away. That fish ain't been biting lately. If things don't get better soon, I don't know what to do. Why, give the girl my fishing pole in trade. Thank you very much, she says, smiling. You have certainly helped us. Yeah, well, if you just give the pouch to the fisherman without going with it to the dwarves first, then you would have missed the lantern and therefore be struck in the game forever. Well, that is Let's hope I am at the correct spot here. Now well, that's obvious. Too bad I didn't catch anything. Well, basically, it's just try and try again, and eventually you will have something. It doesn't really seem that luck is on my side today. Lady Luck, how did I wrong you? Ah, finally. Well, let's save here, as we are now going for the more dangerous trip. Well, let's ignore that wheel for now. If he scoops me up, I'm as good as dead. Well, can take a little look around here. And well, this is how our cute fairy looks now, tied to the bed. What is it then? Oh, just a cat. A white spotted snow leopard lies on the floor of Ginesta's bedchamber. It lies quite still for an occasional twitch of its tail. The lovely fairy is visibly fading fast. Within hours, if she doesn't get a magic talisman back, she'll be dead. This will be a loss for Tamir, as the evil Olati will come to power. Well, we do have a bit of time, but it does appear that King's Quest IV is in fact a timed game, and when you take too long, then basically both Ginesta and your old man will die. Well, let's have a little check. By pressing tab, you can see your inventory. 3 things I must have at this point before moving on. The lantern, but if you don't have it at this point, you will already screwed anyway, as you are then already unable to finish the game at all. And you will soon get to see why. The peacock feather is something you would really need at this point, as you will need it to overcome the next obstacle. But once you're in that obstacle, you can't get out. And the dead fish is something that you really need to also overcome part of the next puzzle. Well, basically that dead fish is part of my way out. So, yeah, that's an. I must allow myself to get swallowed by the wheel. Of course, it doesn't appear this time. Let's see. From that pier, I have mostly the most likely. Come on, Mr. Wheel. Oh, there it is. Now just wait a while and then it will scoop me up. Now, luckily, this time it was a whale, as you can also get yourself eaten by a shark and then it's an instant game over. Now there's a nice Easter egg here with you open the bottle and retrieve the imprisoned note. Anybody out there? I had a conda drop this bottle into the nearest ocean to beg help with King's Quest 1. Help me fight this breathtaking dragon. Well, now basically, and that is the most... It is one of the most yeah, annoying parts of the game. I have to climb the tank, but if I take too long getting things done, I will be digested alive, and that would of course be a death scene. The annoying part is you cannot really see which part you can actually climb on and which you cannot. And that is a very annoying, especially since my cat is now climbing on my desk, begging for food. Well, let's give it her food, as I know she won't leave me alone until I give it to her, and that will not really come to the quality of this video. Hang on for a moment. So that settles that. My apologies for that one. But I need to remain focused here. Basically, it's just moving a little, saving, and restoring. Because although you do survive the hole all the time, like I said, when you take too long doing this, you will get digested alive, which is also a game over scene. So having to do it all over is just an immense waste of time. Well, the logic is completely beyond me in which way I should go now, but this is the place to go to. this part. She should be standing normally right now, but somehow she doesn't. Well, I really don't understand anymore. Let's just do it all over, as this is not getting me anywhere and I think I took a wrong route. Apparently, that is possible. This is even more terrible. Throwing in a shark instead of the wanted whale. Yeah, nothing you can do about that shark. Really, it's... Yes, there it is. So let's just reset things. Sometimes we do need a great reset. Klaus? Well, let's just get that bottle. No. And now let's climb this tongue again. But this time from a different spot. Perhaps that will help me a little. Let's just say that I'm always glad when I'm out of here. Yeah, of course, and that is the big joke. Depending on the kind of whale you're in, but the most famous one, the blue whale, also one of the biggest animals in existence, doesn't even have teeth. Yeah, I'm too far away. So I need to be a bit closer. Yes. And well, let's have a quick save first, as I may still be eating my shark if I'm not careful. Now that whistle is my ticket out, but the trouble to go through that wheel and everything is here. The golden bridle. I need that to catch my unicorn at last. There's basically no way to get back to the shore without the dolphin's help, without either exhausting yourself or getting yourself eaten. And well, let's go to some unicorn hunting. There's nothing I can do about this satyr yet, so that comes later. Or just have a bath. Yeah. So, I hear you were a good girl and brought me the unicorn. I'm almost convinced you might be innocent after all, but not quite. Uh-oh, this doesn't sound good. I am desirous of the hen that lays the golden eggs. Currently, the hen is kept by the ogre and his wife. Bring me the hen, and I shall give you your freedom and a great reward. Take her away! Yeah, well, and I do need a few things before I can actually get to uh, getting that hand from the ogre. And this is, of course, the fairy tale of the princess and the frog dropping a gold ball. Let's see, it will come out of the water. Yeah, there it is. And of course, we have to kiss the frog. Who are you? Oh, I thought you were supposed to be a princess, but you're nothing more than a peasant girl. Of course, I can deny to be a peasant girl and claim to be a princess, since after all, I'm disguised. Yeah, ta-ta! I'm off. Here, you may keep this. And it is a golden crown. Yeah, well, good riddance. Of course, he is kind of rude. Now, this can be done optionally, but I actually don't need the ball anymore. And, well, yeah, well, this scary house is part of the third task, as well as the crypt to the east. This board I don't need for this task, but for the next one. But, well, while I'm here, what you should be aware about is that there can be a troll in that cave. And if there is, you have to get out immediately or it will kill me. And well, let's see what to do next, huh? Well, I have everything now. So time to mess with the ogre. Well, his house is just here to the south. But before I enter that place, let's first save the game. Because either the ogre or his wife could be standing outside and both like me as a meal. Well, yeah, well, dogs can be so easy. Now, before I get At this place, it's just a matter of waiting. And that is quite annoying. You can easily go wrong here, as the waiting time can be a bit annoyingly long. Eventually, the game will announce that you heard the ogre in the living room. Because I can look through the keyhole now. But there will not be much interesting to see. La 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 la. Ah, time to act. Fee for fun, I smell the blood of a... Oh, quite, you old gold. That's just a deer you smell. You know how you get when you're hungry. Here, eat. Wife, bring me my hen. Lay. Yeah, this can be risky. As the... And the ogre will get after me. Well, these trees can be scared off by swinging the axe, then they will be afraid of me, and then I can just pass them. At least I'm safe from the ogre right now. But those tree parts are actually only important for the next task. But let's turn in the hand, shall we? What a good girl you are! I really ought to give you your reward right now. But I have just the tiniest bit of doubt left. If you do one more thing for me, I'll be completely convinced of your innocence, and you will receive a wonderful reward. Somehow, you don't quite believe her. I want to have the Pandora's box. It's said that whoever owns it would be in possession of the purest evil. With the power and evil of Pandora's box, I would be unstoppable. Your terror returns as you realize what an evil being Lolati truly is. You wonder if you should be helping her this way, but what can you do about it? Nothing right now. I don't know the whereabouts of the Pandora's box. You must search for it yourself. Take her away! Well, and during taking on this little quest, I can also get into getting the fruit that will save my old man. But first things first. The Ghost Mansion is a little sub-quest which should be completed in order to obtain the Pandora's box. It can only be completed during the night time, and right now it's daytime. But there are a few things that I can take care of now. There is, for example, a book in this shelf. Now the painting is looking to the wall to the west. I guess the game must have. And for now, that is all I can do in this ghost mansion. Like I said, I must get back here at night and well, as the trees are already afraid of me because I showed them my axe, I can just move on. Let's see, yeah. And this skull-shaped house is the next place to be. And this is a bit dangerous. As soon as these witches catch me, they will treat me to a little bath in their cooking pot. And that will of course be by death. Only one will actively chase after me. I basically have to distract it, and somewhere here, yeah, messed it up. And why doesn't she actually enter the place? Yeah. Basically, you have to stand between the two witches in the back, but not too close, and then catch the one eye that they share. But if I get too close to them, or if that witch chasing after me catches me, then I'm dead. Perhaps I need to slow the game down a little. Fortunately, I'm a lot faster then that witch chasing after me, and well, I got their eye, and then I basically blinded them in the process. Now just leave the place and get back here. Well, let's be nice to them, but they will return my gratefulness with another attempt to kill me. Luckily, I don't have to ever get back here anymore, so... And it does give you extra points to be merciful. Yeah, that extra offer is a free bath in their cooking pot. So, that gets that part done. And, well, let's seek out the minstrel. We have seen him a few times already. The bad part about the minstrel is that he appears randomly. But the spots in which you can find him are pretty much always the same. It could be either here, here, or here, mostly. Here can... Yeah, not there anymore. But it's always somewhere close to the sea. Yeah, the room where the game began. Always a bit nasty, those random factors. It's most likely the satyr. Yes. And I cannot really do much with the satyr unless I've met the minstrel. I really hate that minstrel. Of course, I've already met him before, but I was unable to deal with him back at the time, and now that I can, he is nowhere to be found. Yeah, I met him once before here. No, I don't need that satyr yet. Come on, little minstrel boy. Yeah, finally! You hand the Shakespeare book to the minstrel. Curiously, he opens it and begins to read aloud. First hesitantly, then with increased forcefulness, and he begins to get into it. Suddenly he stops and looks at you. This is wonderful, he exclaims. This gives me a new leaf of life. No longer I am a mere minstrel, but now I will become a famous actor. To be or not to be? How's that? And then he gives you his lute and bids you farewell and wanders off into stardom. And now I need to find the satyr. Of course, he has been messing with me a few times already, and now that I need him, I will probably have to look forever to find him. Oh, no, that's. Well, let's show them that I am a magician myself. And now I traded my lute with his flute. And well, now it's time to go to that frog cave, or whatever I could call it, behind the waterfall again. And this time it is kind of the real deal, but I am not going to mess with the ogre as long as I don't have to. Although he can also appear here and here. Where am I? Ah, there. And here I won't be bothered anymore. Well, and now we are going to get into one of the most annoying parts of the game, and that is the dark cave. Of course, I have to go through this in order to find the fruit that will save my old man. And not only this, it will also trigger the game to go into the night. And that too is important, as only then can I complete the scary ghost house. But let's for now investigate the cave. And before you do, always save the game, as the chances that you will die at least once along the way is close to 100%. Well, like I said, if you see the troll there, immediately go away. It is mostly around with that grrr message. Now, despite having a lantern, you still can see almost nothing. I will pause the game a lot here, as I've just written down the route to take. In any room that a troll can pop up. So it is but mostly only at the start of the route, so that makes things easier. Now the road through this cave is not that hard. And here they played a little trick, as there is a chasm here. And if you get too close to that chasm, you'll fall to your death. Basically, it's just moving a bit eastward until the game accepts. And this is the exit. And she will crawl out automatically. What the fuck is that? If you don't do that, you'll be out of oil on the way back. So, even though this is only a short thing. Well, this is the swamp, which Ginesta mentioned, where the fruit to save my old man could be. Well, that's... And that is the only way to do it. Trying to cross the swamp on any other way is death. Of course, as soon as I get close to the tree, a snake will appear. Now, crossing this board is a very precision kind of job. I will slow down the game even a little, because one little misstep and Rosella will... Yeah, of course, we all know those guys playing on a flute and a snake hypnotized me following the flute. Now, it's a complete urban legend that the snake gets hypnotized by the music, since snakes do not hear. And they merely react to the movement of the flute by trying to look at it. Well, and here I can speed it up again. If you wonder how to speed up and slow down the game, well, all the All Shara games with the SCI interface using commands to get your way around allow you to speed up by pressing the plus button on the numeric keyboard and slow down with the minus on the numeric keyboard. And well, now it's time to get back through that very nasty cave. Of course, remember, there is a chasm here. No Gersh, then we can move on. And basically I have to find my way north a bit on feeling. Oh, there's a girl, yeah, already too late. And how do we know if that troll is going to appear? Well, basically, you don't. So, try as you might, you cannot peer through the darkness. No, not even with this beeping lantern. Of course, I told you before, if you didn't have the lantern, you'd be screwed, because without the lantern, you can't get through here at all, even though you don't see much now. And well, I am through with this, and now it is time to get things done with that haunted house. You can already see it in the distance. I hate this. Now, during the nighttime, the house will be surrounded by zombies who will try to kill you. However, that scarab that I have with me now will protect me against them. Now, basically, it is a rather easy task to go. The entire place is filled with ghosts, and each round one ghost will pop up. It's always the same order. So it always starts with the crying baby. Basically, you have to identify what kind of ghost it is. Basically the cradle is empty, but a ghost voice of a baby can be heard from it. And then we have to find outside the grave that belongs to the person whose voice it is. There are the zombies, but they will return to their grave as soon as they touch me. Thanks to the scarab that the witches gave me. Here lies the body of Mary Ann Louder. She burst while drinking Sedlist powder. Called from this world to her heavenly rest, she should have waited till it ever vested. But that is not the... baby son. And then we just have to use the shovel to dig. And then you will find an item that belongs to the ghost. Of course, a rattle this time. It's a baby we are talking about. Now you see why having that scarab is so important. And a good thing risking your life for at the riches. Since without it this quest is nearly undoable, as those zombies will nearly always get you. And with that I placed the ghost of this baby to rest. And well, the next ghost, I must have seen it before I can actually act. There it is. But the location where it can be found is random. It's always somewhere in the house, but you never know where. Let's see. I plant shrubs upon your grave, dear wife. That is something this spot may boast of life. Shrubs must wither and earth and all earth must rot. Shrubs may revive, but you thank heaven will not. That's a very Here lies Newberry Will. His life was finished, cause he took ill. But none wisdom, he should have been wiser. This is his all fault, being such a miser. Well, this is the grave of the ghost I just saw. And well, let's just get back into the mansion. And now, yes. The sounds of weeping are coming from upstairs. Well, you see the sad ghost of a beautiful young woman. She sits in her rocking chair and weeps as if her heart will break. Well, this happens to be Betty Cowden. And she wants a locket that is in her grave. What item a ghost wants is not really that important, as you will find out eventually anyway by reading. Here lies the body of Betty Cowden, who would live longer than she should Cowden. Sorrow and grief made her decay when she lost her lover at sea one day. And well, then next goes. A wailing sound comes from downstairs, yeah. This one is at a random location, but always somewhere downstairs. Never upstairs. And you've encountered the gentleman ghost of the distinguished lord of the manor. He wails despondently as he seems to be looking for something he desperately wants. Well, he ignores my presence completely. This is Lors Koningsby. And let's find his grave. Let's see. Lord Koningsby sleeps here in peace, an honorable man, a valiant soldier. He served his country well. An Imperial Medal of Honor. Well, because this is Trailer Night. Yeah, well, let's find out. And well, yes, the little boy. He is the final ghost to take care of, and also the only one to open a new location. The well, how do you call that in English? Well, not much I can do here. Also, this is also a location where you can die if you get too close to the hedge. You will just fall down and get killed. There's one other place in this mansion where you can get yourself killed, but that comes later. And well, he wants to have a little toy. Reader, he lies, but forbear to read without a tear. One I cannot speak the rest. You may weep, I'll smite my breast. Grief preventing, and this stone too small to be written on. Only this, a little boy, Willie, in Abraham's bosom laid. Whatever, this is the grave I must have. A toy horse. Well, let's. And he disappears, and I'll open chest. look in chest, and then we find some sheet music. And that was the entire object of this place. Well, not quite, as there is one more thing to do, but for that I have to get into the stairway that you saw before when I visited this place at night. You look into the broken mirror and see the reflection of a poor but beautiful peasant girl. Yes, well, let's move to the west. And these kind of stairs is something that Shara really messed up, and fortunately Shara realized that themselves and have actually not repeated that mistake again in any of their future games or future from that point on. Now the beginning is just hugging the wall. The hard part actually comes when I have to get to that second part. And let's make a temp before, as I have to press the up button to go south, but it was up button as the stairs goes up. I do understand the logic behind it, but it really didn't work out at the end. As a matter of fact, it was so downright confusing, and to make it even worse, one fucking misstep and you're dead. Yeah, made it. And, well, once I really get my chance to get even with Lolotti, it will get worse with the stairways. That is not supposed to be the melody she was about to play. And this was the melody she was supposed to play. That was a very annoying part about these Shara games. You never know how to type things. And well, that skeleton key is my ticket to the Pandora's box. And yes, now I have to go down the stairs. Well, at least there's a little fence at the start, but from here I will my own. And crash dead. Well, that settles that, and with that I can take the Pandora's box. You reach down to get the pile of rope. To your happy surprise, you find out that the rope is actually a rope ladder attached to the end of the platform. Glad you throw the rope ladder over the edge of the platform where it falls to the floor below. I always hate that, because one tiny misstep and I'm dead. That mummy won't hurt me because of the scarab. It repels all undead after all. And well, no choice but to bring the Pandora's box to Lolothi. But her time has soon come at last. The house of the witches. Well, another track up to Lolothi's castle. You know, I've never asked you your name. What is it? You tell her, Rosella. Rosella, what a pretty name. You wonder what this is all about. Well, Rosella, you've earned your reward. My son Edgar has fallen in love with you. I wish him to be happy and give you the honor of being his wife and my daughter-in-law. Your heart flips and somersaults as you hear this. You'll be married first thing in the morning, she informs you. You will sleep in Edgar's room tonight while my son sleeps elsewhere. That is relieve you of your burdensome load before you retire. In other words, she has taken my inventory. But don't worry about that inventory. I will get it back soon enough. Escort our Rosella to her room. Well, basically, I just have to wait a while. As help will be given soon. What's this? Why, a beautiful red rose has been pushed under your door. You pick it up and carry it with you. And well, now the most horrible staircase routine that Shara ever invented will really get. Um, well, let's. You hardly can see a fucking thing, and it's always very confusing. Like I said, they reversed the up and down keys to really give you the feeling of how the stairway goes. But in the end, that really didn't work. Well, that worked better than I could ever imagine. Well, fortunately, the goon is sleeping. If I get too close to it, it will wake up and bring me back to the bedroom. And then I can start all over. Now, I really need to go through that northern gate, but well, and with that, my entire inventory should be restored. Oh, not really yet. They are all your possessions. But of course, I have to get them. Yes. Always a good thing to check things before moving on, huh? One false move, and the goon wakes up. Phew, made it. Well, it's just going through the eastern doorway. But not too close to the goon. And here we got another fucking stairway. I hate them with passion. And yes, once I'm done with this stairway, I also have to go the entire fucking way down. Which is even worse. Now, this doorway, ignore it, as you will always walk into a goon. And you really don't want that right now. At least not before all matters at hand have been good. Yeah. You aim the golden arrow toward Lolati, and you let off the bowstring. Zing! A direct hit. What did you do to me? She shrieks. I'm melting! I'm melting! Oh, wait, that's another story. Let's try again. It hurts! It hurts! Stop the pain! Stop it! You cringe as you watch the evil fairy die a painful death. What happened, you wonder? How could Cupid's arrow have done that? You thought that those arrows were harmless and contained only love. Wait, that must be it. Love. Laudati was so evil that when all that pure love entered her body, it acted as a poison to her system. In spite of yourself, you feel a sense of sweet revenge. As she breathes her last, Lolati managed to gasp, I don't know how, but I'll get you for this. A bright new day is dawning. Edgar bows to you, acknowledging his evil's mother dead. He begins to say, You may now walk freely about the castle. And suddenly he begins to blush. Yes, yes, we know. Edgar is in love with you. Well, that is, So, and with that I can cure Ginesta. However, before I do, I can immediately go to Ginesta now, cure her, and let the game be over. But let's try to aim for the perfect score. This is so far the only Shara game in which I managed to do that. Now, this stairway will still be a kind. I hate these fucking stairways. What could they have been thinking at Shera's? Yeah, well, I know. Having the controls reversed as you go down, it all makes perfect sense. However, perhaps they should have done things differently. Ooh, that part has been taken care of. The goons will not be a threat to me. After all, they honor me now. You can see the max score being 230. And I said before that most SCI games have higher scores than that due to the 255 cap of a byte no longer being an issue anymore. However, this game was also made in AGI, as they did want to take all the computers in mind initially. You wouldn't really want to visit your old cell, would you? So, of course, they had to make the score compatible with both versions, as the AGI version and the SCI version are as identical as technically possible. Well, let's get down the last stairway and be glad if we don't have any stairways to face ever again. Yeah, well, that was not bad, but too much of a bother, eh? And of course, here in the barn, we could get ourselves our unicorn. Now, I really must stand at the correct place to open the gate. It is really picky about where to stand. Well, we won't see that unicorn again. But that doesn't really matter. And now, of course, there ain't no King's Quest game without it. Going a mountain pass. One tiny misstep. And it's all over for you. Well, luckily there's a mountain wall at the start of it. Which is, of course, a nice safeguard. Well, before I move on, let's fasten up the game as I slowed it down a little because of those staircases and that mountain pass. Now, for the full score, it's a good idea to return the Pandora's box at exactly where you found it. You place the skeleton key in the lock of the crypt door. Click. It locked. You kick the key through the crack under the door. Now nobody will ever accidentally release the evils of the Pandora's box into the world. Well, that just makes a few more points. As it is day now, the zombies won't bother me anymore, so I can just move on all the way to the west. It's all that is left for me to do is save Ginesta, and of course saving my old man in the process. Now let's save before I jump into the water, as there is still that nasty shark out there. And I don't want to be lucky enough to encounter it. Which, of course, still happened. And no, it is really not possible to outrun that shark. If you meet it, you're dead. That's just about it. at least these stairways didn't face that same mistake. You give the magic talisman to the dying fairy. Almost instantly the color returns to her cheeks and her eyes begin to sparkle. She sits up in bed, stretches and smiles at you. I don't have the perfect score yet, but there is something to come yet. Even though I can't do anything anymore. You saved my life, Rosella, the beautiful fairy says gratefully. And you have saved Tamir from the persecution of Lolati. We are deeply indebted to you. I want to go outside. I need to feel the warm sun on my face. Suddenly, you find yourself outside. My little hen! Ginesta suddenly exclaims. Where did you find her? You explain that the ogre had a possession of her. Poor thing, she says. Well, at least she's back home now. And that makes 2 extra bonus points for obtaining the hen. And now I have the perfect score. Now for you, Rosella, it's my turn to help you out. I will return you to Daventry with the magic fruit. You will be able to save your father's life. We'd better hurry though. Yes, you are anxious to get home again. But first, let's replace these peasant clothes with your royal gown. There's someone else deserving of a reward for his kindness and heroism. You have a beautiful soul, Edgar. You should look like what you are. This handsome hunk is Edgar? Rosella, he says, I love you. I just think about it. Yeah, that really went too fast. Think about it some more. Then, I'm sorry, Edgar. You're very sweet, but I must immediately return home. Yeah, of course. My father is still dying. Perhaps we'll meet again. Yeah, well, if you have seen my video of King's Quest 7, you know that they will meet again. Goodbye, we'll never forget you. You give the healing fruit to your dying father and strongly urge him to take a bite, which he wickedly does. How are you feeling, father? You excitedly asked him. Never felt better in my life, is his reply. What is in this fruit anyway? He wonders. It's magic, father. And you tell him you are kind of friendly, your adventure in Tamir. I don't think you're through with this head yet, you say. Your brother Alexander and your mother Queen Valenice readily agree. You've got too much life ahead of you. And this is where the story ends. And as you can see, I made it a perfect score. Now, a little goodbye message from Roberta should still appear on screen. But the story has ended and I'm also about to end this video. I hope you enjoyed watching it. And, well, perhaps we'll see each other again in another video. Well, so all's well that ends well. Until the next time, goodbye. Basically, I can just echo Roberta's words here. Until the next time, take care of yourself and for each other.